In the early 1900s, a powerful shipping company called the White Star Line decided to build the greatest passenger ship the world had ever seen. They wanted a ship that would be larger, safer, and more luxurious than any other vessel on Earth. Construction began in 1909 at the shipyard of Harland and Wolff in the city of Belfast. Thousands of workers spent more than 2 years building this massive ship using steel, engines, and advanced technology for its time. When it was finally completed, the ship was named Titanic. People were amazed by its size and beauty. It had grand dining halls, electric lights, comfortable cabins, and even a swimming pool. Many newspapers and passengers proudly called it the unsinkable ship. Confidence in the Titanic was so strong that many believed nothing could destroy it.
On April 10, 1912, the Titanic set sail on its very first journey, known as its maiden voyage.
It departed from the busy port city of Southampton, England, carrying more than 2,200 passengers and crew members.
Among them were wealthy businessmen, families, workers, and immigrants hoping to start new lives in America.
The captain of the ship was a highly respected sailor named Edward Smith.
This voyage was meant to be his final trip before retirement.
After leaving Southampton, the Titanic stopped briefly in Cherbourg,
And later in Queenstown, where more passengers boarded.
For the first few days, the journey was peaceful and comfortable. Passengers enjoyed meals, music, and conversations, while the crew kept the ship running smoothly.
But as the Titanic moved deeper into the North Atlantic, other ships began sending wireless messages warning about dangerous icebergs floating ahead.
Despite receiving several warnings, the Titanic continued traveling at high speed through the cold, dark waters. On the night of April 14, 1912, the ocean was unusually calm and the sky was clear. The sea looked flat like glass, making it harder to spot icebergs in time. At around 11:40 p.m., two lookouts suddenly saw a huge iceberg directly in the ship's path. They quickly rang a warning bell and alerted the officers on the bridge.
Full astern, hard to port!
The crew immediately tried to turn the ship and stop the engines, but the Titanic was simply too large to change direction quickly. Moments later, the ship struck the iceberg. Instead of crashing head-on, the iceberg scraped along the side of the vessel, tearing open several holes below the waterline. Seawater began rushing into the ship's compartments. At first, many passengers barely noticed anything unusual. Some felt only a slight vibration. But deep inside the ship, the situation was becoming serious. The ship's designer, Thomas Andrews, carefully inspected the damage and quickly realized the terrible truth: the Titanic would not survive.
Too many compartments had been flooded, and the ship was slowly filling with water. Captain Smith was informed, and preparations to evacuate the ship began. Lifeboats were uncovered and crew members instructed passengers to put on life jackets. The evacuation is underway. Stay calm.
However, the Titanic did not have enough lifeboats for everyone on board because safety rules at the time were outdated.
It's sinking! God help us!
At first, many passengers refused to board the lifeboats. They believed the ship was safe and did not want to leave its comfort. But as the ship began to tilt forward and the front of the vessel sank lower into the freezing ocean, fear started to spread. Distress rockets were fired into the night sky, signaling for help from nearby ships. The temperature of the water was extremely cold, close to freezing.
As the hours passed, panic grew among the passengers. Families held each other tight. Some people prayed, while others searched desperately for a way to escape.
As the ship slowly sank beneath them, the Titanic's musicians continued playing to calm the frightened crowd. In one of the most remembered moments of the disaster, they played on until the very end. Eventually, the front of the Titanic became completely submerged. The enormous weight of the water caused the ship to break apart. The lights flickered and then went out, leaving darkness across the ocean.
Disappeared beneath the icy Atlantic Ocean. More than 1,500 people lost their lives in the freezing water, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history.
Hours later, a nearby rescue ship called the RMS Carpathia arrived at the scene after receiving the Titanic's distress signal. Its crew worked quickly to rescue survivors from lifeboats drifting in the darkness. About 700 people were saved. The survivors were taken safely to New York City, where news of the tragedy shocked the world. After the disaster, new safety rules were introduced across the shipping industry. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone on board, maintain constant radio communication, and watch carefully for icebergs in dangerous waters. More than a century later, the story of the Titanic remains one of the most famous tragedies in human history, a powerful reminder that even the greatest achievements of mankind can be vulnerable to nature.